Then the rest of the analysis goes to the internet content delivery on the interconnectivity layer mostly, and examines this area as a two-sided market. This work and this analysis is from the recently published master's thesis of Nan Chang, who is also part of our network economics research group in the Aalto University. And you'll also find link to the thesis in the blog post. So the idea here is that now in the thesis, different two-sided markets were identified, and also the value networks related to these different internet content delivery models were identified. And the internet was divided into two layers. First, there was a service layer, an example two-sided market being a typical advertising market, for example Google, who gives free products to the consumer customers, and then they get their revenue from the advertisers who value the large amount of consumers who use Google services. But then there's also the interconnection layer, which focuses more on the actual bits transferred between the different networks. And here, a clear example of two-sided markets is content delivery network business, where typically content delivery networks subsidize ISPs and get the revenue from content providers who use CDN service. And the interesting question related to the SAIL project is that what does this kind of two-sided market analysis tell us about the feasibility of information networking? So let's now check the value network notation. So this is interlinked to the two-sided markets theory, because the value network shows us which are actually the transfers between different actors. So the notation in the figures goes so that those we have different actors there, and they are interconnected with arrows. Normal arrow shows the traffic transfers, which corresponds to the goods and services in typical value network figures. Then we have dashed arrow that shows the monetary transfers, so how money flows between different players. And then dotted arrow shows the intangible benefits, which are something else than traffic or money moving between the actors. And these intangible benefits can be divided into brand recognition, information, and loyalty. And the weight of the arrow shows the relative volume of the transfers between different stakeholders. This is also to compare different models to each other. And the gray box, it shows the internal value network of content provider. So what content provider needs to offer services and offer content to consumers. Then the other key players are internet backbone provider, internet access providers, and consumers. And in this analysis, three different models for analyze. So first is client server. So this means traditional data center based content delivery. Then CDN, this refers to the content delivery network model, and the last is information networking. So let's do not analyze the client server model more, but let's focus how content delivery network model differs from client server model. And there we can see a new player, a new actor, content delivery network provider, who is connected to the content providers. And then the red arrows now show, or the red color shows that the weight of the arrow has changed. So here the key idea is that those red arrows, they become thinner, which means that actually content provider pays less to internet access providers, and access providers also save in their transit costs, because the interconnectivity to content delivery networks is free for them. And in this, based on two-sided markets analysis, we can see that content providers have higher price elasticity of demand than ISPs have, which means that they have higher willingness to pay, and that has led to a pricing strategy of CDNs, that they subsidize ISPs by paying to connection with them, and even giving some free products like DNS outsourcing. And then they collect revenue from content providers who appreciate the larger the coverage of CDN network is. Then when we get to the information networking model, it doesn't. There is not too big change from the CDN model, but the CDN player is missing, which means that there is no centralized authority that can guarantee the quality. And the key question here is that can service quality be guaranteed for content providers, and how the coordination problems in doing that can be avoided compared to the typical quality of service analysis. So now the key findings from two-sided market analysis and also the value network analysis. So first one was that content providers have higher willingness to pay for quality than ISPs have, which leads in the CDN model to that CDNs charge higher prices and get their revenue from content providers, not from ISPs. The other thing was that CDNs seem to take market pressure from content providers more efficiently than ISPs do. And by this I mean that ISPs do not see the pressure for better quality that comes from content providers, but it goes to content delivery networks. Then also two-sided pricing may cause consolidation of CDNs, because the benefits of large scale there, and typically two-sided market theory, and where two-sided markets exist, it leads to oligopolical situations. Then information networking, it reduces off-net traffic compared especially to the basic client-server model, which may encourage ISPs to deploy it. But the interesting question is that can information networking create revenue like CDN can? And by this I mean that there is no centralized authority who would do that. So how the monetary transfers can be handled from between different ISPs also, and between content providers and these different ISPs. And also the question is that should there be some kind of actor who would take that kind of coordination role and do like virtual content delivery network. But based on this, the business case of information networking needs to be studied, and this is something that we have planned to do in the SAIL project. But then to summarize the whole presentation, so first a holistic view to quality is necessary, so thinking the quality from different domains, human, business and technical domains, and understand that there are differences between the terminology and how quality is understood in all these domains. And what really matters is actually the quality of end user experience, not only the quality of service. Then the other thing is that end-user demand for quality may not easily translate into direct revenue, and that was because there is huge competition between content providers, and also they can easily, so end users can easily change their content and application service providers. Based on the trend analysis, we found out that both ISPs and content providers are willing to offer quality. And the question is that what are they? How can they do that? And then we examined the CDN example and the value network of CDNs, and also the two-sided markets of CDN. And there, the example suggests that solving coordination problems is crucial for a content delivery model. And this is, for example, to guarantee the quality and also to provide, for example, usage statistics that seem to be important for the content providers, and for example information networking proposals have not so thought this issue too much, or at least I haven't seen thinking of this kind of issue. Then content providers have higher willingness to pay for quality, and CDNs take the market pressure more efficiently than ISPs do. And maybe the final thing that I want to say is that information networking architectures, they can succeed only if the incentives of all stakeholders are aligned. This, of course, is true to every technology that requires adoption from multiple stakeholders. And here is the list of references that I have used in the presentation. You can find the links, direct links to these articles from the blog post. So thank you for listening. It was a pleasure to share my thoughts.